everyone, I'm Kate Andrews, and here's the look of what's going on this week in the news. When we begin from around the world, the refugee crisis continues to rage on in Europe. Now Catholic bishops in Germany and Austria are urging their countries to continue accepting refugees. Their plea comes amongst demands for new restrictions after New Year's Eve violence in Cologne, Germany, and other cities were blamed on refugees and migrants. In neighboring Austria, the Bishops' Conference said that human right to asylum was an obligation under international law, but they cautioned that concerns about mass admission should also be taken seriously. In news from the Vatican, Pope Francis returned to one of his favorite topics, the family, during this week's general audience. Room Reports has more.
The weekly general audience has returned to St. Peter's Square, where thousands of pilgrims can show their affection for Pope Francis. He returned to his catechesis on mercy with a message for families who may be fighting amongst themselves.
Penso a tanti fratelli che sono allontanati in una famiglia e non si parlano. Ma quest'anno della misericordia è una buona occasione per ritrovarsi, abbracciarsi e perdonarsi, dimenticare le cose brutte.
Recalling the story of Moses, who saved the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt, the Pope explained that God is not indifferent to the suffering of mankind.
La misericordia de Dios no es indiferente al dolor del oprimido, al grito de quien sufre violencia, esclavitud o es condenado a muerte. El sufrimiento es una triste realidad que aflige a toda época, también a la nuestra. Nos hace sentir impotentes y tentados a endurecer el corazón. Dios, en cambio, no es indiferente, no abandona, sino que actúa y salva.
The Pope insisted that God loves every person in a special and privileged way. He encouraged people to discover that reality. The audience ended on a colorful note, thanks to these circus performers.
E li ringrazio per la loro gradita esibizioni. Voi siete fattori di bellezza. Voi fate la bellezza e la bellezza fa bene all'anima. La bellezza ci avvicina a Dio. Questo spettacolo di bellezza, quante ore di allenamento ci sono, Ma andate avanti, continuate e grazie.
A circus has performed at the Vatican before, but it was perhaps the first time that the Pope said their work brings people closer to God.
Back to news from around the world. Loyola Press is releasing a very special book March 1st. Dear Pope Francis is an illustrated book that features questions from children around the world addressed to, you guessed it, Pope Francis. Pope Francis responded with care, answering what he called tough questions about Jesus, war and peace, and heaven. Father Antonio Spadaro, who heads a Jesuit journal, went through the questions with the Pope. He said that this book is important because it shows how Pope Francis's ministry can reach children. Pope Francis will meet some of the children in February when he holds a private audience for those who took part in the project. And finally in the news, what do Pope Francis and Leonardo DiCaprio have in common? Their deep concern for the environment. The actor recently met with His Holiness to talk about the care for creation. Rome Reports has more.
Leonardo DiCaprio greeted the Pope in perfect Italian.
Sua Santità, grazie per dedicarmi questa udienza privata con lei.
An excited Pope asked the actor to take a seat in English. They had a longer conversation with a translator present. The actor is deeply involved in the environmental activism movement, which the Pope has become a key figure in since the publication of Laudato Si. After their conversation, DiCaprio introduced the Pope to his father. The actor gave the Pope a book with pictures from the 15th century Flemish artist Bosch. He explained what the images meant to him.
Was hanging above my crib as a young boy. My father put it there. And as a child, I didn't quite understand what it all meant. But through my child's eyes, it represented our planet the utopia that we've been given.
He also gave the Pope a donation for environmental causes. The Pope in return gave him two of the most important texts of his pontificate.
Laudato si.
Care for the creation. So both of the letters written out.
Thank you.
And pray for me, don't forget.
I will. Thank you.
As the actor was leaving, the Pope repeated his request, and DiCaprio responded, again, that he wouldn't forget.
And pray for me, don't forget. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
That's going to do it for news. I'm Kate Andrews. You can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.